Story starts from a game addict feeling disheartened because his favorite game, which he had been grinding for 3 years, had discontinued its service. During this time, he accidentally discovered a new and intriguing game. Bored with normal modes, he decided to play on the highest difficulty level, Hell mode, which unexpectedly pulled him into an endless game world. He found himself reincarnated as a young boy in this game, embarking on a new chapter in a different world. It's been 5 years since he was reincarnated here, taking on the name Ain given to him by a couple who raised him. He was born as a baby in this world, so he couldn't reveal his origins from another world. Ain chose to be a summoner in this game, calling forth beasts to aid him in battle. However, despite 5 years passing, Ain still wasn't strong enough to fight the demonic beasts. Partly, this was due to his lowly family status, which prevented him from leaving the forest to level up, limiting him to training only with a childhood friend named Karina, a powerful sword saint. Ain's talents as a summoner were undetectable to the judges of this world, making him seem ordinary. Yet, Ain's parents never felt disappointed, always encouraging him to live a happy life. Karina, also from a humble family like Ain's, was admired by everyone for her sword saint talent. Today, the Knights Guild was visiting to assess her abilities. Standing before the guild leader, Karina was eager to prove herself, despite knowing that deceiving them was punishable by death. If she couldn't satisfy them, she would be in serious trouble. Her father, Gori, was terrified, but Karina was even more excited, gripping her sword and ready to fight. Her opponent was a knight named Brand. The battle began with Karina aggressively attacking, gaining the upper hand until Brand kicked her into a wall. It seemed over, but Karina refused to give up. She attacked again, even more fiercely, leaving Brand breathless and admitting defeat. Defeating a knight at just 5 years old made her the pride of the village. Excited, Karina approached the guild leader to see if she could become a knight. But she was too young and had to wait until she was 12. Ain, watching from a corner, knew everyone's talents. He thought the guild leader would be incredibly skilled, but his talent was even lower than Karina's, who was a 3-star sword saint. Ain, the only summoner in this world, possessed an 8-star talent. However, due to choosing Hell mode, he had been stuck at level 1 for 5 years. After Karina defeated the knight Brand, their unnamed village was renamed in her honor. Time passed, and Ain was now 6 years old. He managed to level up his stone-throwing skill to level 3, but it was still too weak to survive in this Hell mode difficulty. Today, after his training, Ain returned home to find his father coming home late, causing worry for his mother. Ain's father, the leader of the village's hunting team, had to undertake dangerous tasks every autumn due to their low social status, like hunting demonic beasts for the village. This time, he returned severely injured, which confused Ain. According to Uncle Gori, the Lord's new decree was the cause. The Lord had decided to reduce the hunter risk by including civilians in the hunting parties, but this inadvertently hindered the hunters, and Ain's father had struggled to save them. The next morning, Ain's father regained consciousness. Knowing he couldn't work in his condition, Uncle Gori enthusiastically offered to help until he recovered. Ain immediately refused, feeling he had pretended to be a child long enough. Though they weren't his birth parents, Ain felt their love and knew it was time to help them. In the following days, he worked hard in the fields to support his family. With 60% of their produce going to the Lord, they needed a lot more for the winter. So, farming alone wasn't enough. It was time for Ain to hunt. Over 6 years, Ain had accumulated enough experience to unlock a new skill, upgrading his summoned beasts. Today was a good opportunity to test it. He summoned a frog with a taunting ability, quickly luring a giant bird. Ain's stone attacks were ineffective, so he changed tactics and summoned a pack of dogs to attack the bird. Despite the 15 dogs' efforts, the bird remained unfazed and even aggressively pinned Ain down. This wasn't working. In desperation, Ain summoned 3 blood-sucking worms to distract the bird, easing its pressure on him and giving him a chance for a final strike. His first hunt of a demonic beast felt exhilarating. Bringing its carcass back to the village surprised everyone. Ain continued hunting these beasts, eventually reaching level 2. The jump from level 1 to 2 in Hell mode significantly increased all of Ain's stats. On that day, Ain decided to return home and reveal his duty in this world to his parents. His mother was very surprised by this revelation, while his father was not, as he had long noticed that Ain was no ordinary child. Regardless, Ain would always be their son. In December, Ain and Uncle Gori left the village to exchange goods for food on their journey. Ain asked Uncle Gori if there was a way to elevate his family's status from serfs to commoners. Uncle Gori explained it would cost 10 gold coins per person. Ain's family, including the unborn child, totaled 5 members. Determined, Ain resolved to help his family become commoners. Before leaving the village to raise the 50 gold coins needed, Ain realized he had to hunt demonic beasts for several years. Even though Ain longed for a new weapon, he just stood outside a weapon shop, looking in. Goder, a local boy, spotted him and started scolding. Wanting to avoid trouble, Ain was about to leave when Goder challenged him to a duel, promising to leave him alone if he won. Reluctantly, Ain accepted and easily won with a wooden sword, as Goder was much weaker than Karina. 9 months passed, and Ain and Goder trained together. During that time, one evening, Ain's father and Uncle Gory returned with news that this year's hunting quota had unexpectedly increased to 5 beasts, and they had to take civilians with them. This worried both men, unsure if they could meet the quota. Seeing this, Ain asked to join them, claiming that he had been blessed with greater wisdom by the gods and could help in dire situations. The hunting team was enthusiastic to see their leader recovered but apprehensive about the 2 civilians joining them. Ain knew his goal now. He had to help these 2 civilians successfully hunt. During this expedition, the group left the village and headed towards Mount White Dragon, named for a dragon that slept at its peak. Ain was excited to learn about it, resolving to defeat the dragon one day. But their current task was hunting giant wild boars, which exerted a high-level demonic beast's pressure. Ain's father and Uncle Gory's group took their positions, expertly coordinating to lock the boar's mouth. This was when the 2 civilians were to engage, as Ain reminded them following Uncle Gory's recount of the previous year. Ain had identified their weak point: the civilians had no experience in beast hunting and should not be in the vanguard. They only needed to wait until the beast's movements were restrained and then strike to finish it off. The final beast fell, and Ain gained experience from assisting in its defeat. The giant boar gave Ain 400 experience points, leveling him up to 3. Hunting boars yielded more experience than birds, so Ain decided to continue helping his father hunt boars to accumulate experience until he raised the 50 gold coins. 6 months later, Ain had gathered enough experience to unlock a new summoner skill, now able to summon a ranked demonic beasts. The next day, he ventured into the forest to summon his new beasts, initially unsure of a summoner's combat style. Ain now understood the game designer's intention, and a ranked beast group could fulfill every role in a battle. He envisioned a future commanding a powerful horde of beasts to defeat any enemy in his path. Another year passed, and a giant boar hunting season returned. This year, Ain village had a quota of 20 boars. Coincidentally, Lord Granville planned to visit the village to observe its development and apologize for the increased hunting quota, a royal decree he couldn't defy. The village leader quickly introduced Ain to the Lord. Since joining the hunting team with his father, Ain had become the main guide. Confidently, he assured Lord Grenell that the village would meet the quota of 20 boars. At that moment, the hunting team returned with 3 boars, surprising the Lord, especially as they were now wearing armor. This was thanks to Lord Gron's approval the previous year to craft armor from boar skins. Relieved, the Lord quickly summoned Ain's father and Uncle Gory to his lordship's house to commend them. The kingdom's decree to hunt demonic beasts had been in place for 15 years, but many villages had failed. The fact that Karina village could meet its quota was miraculous. Lord Grenell was impressed with their decade-long efforts and declared that Ain's family and Uncle Gory would be elevated to commoner status. The news delighted Ain so much that he almost jumped for joy. Now he wouldn't have to save money anymore. Lord Grenell then grew curious about why they specifically hunted giant wild boars. Ain's father's face darkened at the mention, so Uncle Gory explained the land had been developed by serfs long ago, and in the early days, the wild boars often destroyed everything they worked for. That's why Rodin, Ain's father, had declared to exterminate them. It was the first time Rodin and Uncle Gory had taken down a high-level demonic beast, but at the cost of a friend's life. Despite Gory's advice, Rodin continued to harbor a grudge against the boars. Lord Grenell, impressed by Rodin's courage and effort, decided to reward him by granting him any wish he desired. Rodin immediately pulled Ain over, asking the Lord to allow Ain to serve his household. Ain was shocked. He had just become a commoner, free to hunt as he wished, and now he had to serve in the Lord's household. Reluctantly, seeing his father's tearfully happy expression when the Lord agreed, Ain couldn't refuse. From that day on, Ain would serve in Lord Grenell's castle. Before leaving, he had to say goodbye to everyone, especially Karina. A duel seemed like the perfect farewell. They clashed, and Ain gained the upper hand, using all his magic stones to enhance his abilities to win. Karina's joyous smile made it all worthwhile. Before departing, Rodin pulled Ain aside to advise him. He knew his son was extraordinary and that serving as a Lord's servant wouldn't hold him back but would be a stepping stone for greater things. Roden believed that one day Ain's name would be known throughout the kingdom. Thus began Ain's second life in the other world. Upon arriving at the Granville household, Ain was assigned to be Seal, the Lord's daughter's personal servant. She was the same age as Ain, and he felt a bit resentful having to do menial tasks for her. And so, Ain's life continued. Ain was assigned a small room in the attic, which, though not very spacious, was secluded enough for him to comfortably practice his magic. The Lord's family, consisting of 30 members, had modest meal portions that went unnoticed. They were even smaller than those of serfs. The lady of the house had been observing Ain since his arrival, finding it hard to believe such a bright child was a serf's son. Cecil, the young mistress, laughed upon hearing that Ain had no talents, proudly stating her own abilities as a magician, and her brother, high as a swordsman. Living in the Lord's household, Ain learned much, including that Cecil, like Karina and Degora, would attend a training academy upon turning 12. After serving breakfast to the Lord's family, Ain had the morning free to explore the city and gather information. The city was vast, taking 4 hours to walk around, a stark contrast to Kina village. He was particularly intrigued by the Adventurers Guild, a place he was eager to join, as adventurers hunted demonic beasts for money. However, when he tried to join, the secretary informed him that he was too young. Disappointed but not deterred from his original goal of hunting beasts, Ain noticed a notice board with various missions, showcasing the game's diverse range of monsters. A particular beast caught his eye, one without a specific location listed. An adventurer told him that it was a rare beast, usually found in extremely dangerous areas, hence the lack of precise location. The board listed many kinds of beasts, from low to high level, including the white dragon sleeping at the top of the mountain. The Adventurers Guild offered a reward of 1,000 gold coins for its defeat, but no one dared to hunt it. Ain lived until mid-November before finally having the opportunity to leave the city. During his time there, he gathered a lot of information, helping him easily choose suitable locations for hunting demonic beasts. He summoned a bird named Hook and gave it basic commands, which it understood well, much to Ain's delight. Since leveling up as a summoner, Hook was the smartest among all the beasts he had summoned. Hook's task was to scout for demonic beasts, and it quickly located a group of goblins, leading Ain to them. Ain then summoned a pack of tigers named Tama to surround the goblins from all sides. Despite their numbers, the goblins were not easy to defeat. Feeling the situation was getting out of hand, Ain changed tactics and summoned a butterfly-like beast named Aa, whose ability was to put the goblins to sleep with its dust. This was Ain's chance to finish them off. He threw stones, but since the goblins were rank beasts, his throws weren't lethal. He let Tama finish them off. After 2 hours of hunting goblins, Ain earned a total of 1,000 experience points, making this his most successful hunt. Now it was time to collect magic stones. Ain dissected the goblin corpses, finding the deemed magic stones valuable for a summoner like him. After collecting all the stones, Ain wanted to continue hunting. He searched the forest for more goblins, and by evening, he had caught a total of 80 goblins and 5 horned rabbits. It was a great day off that allowed Ain to level up twice. During the hunt, he also learned more about A's abilities. It could put most demonic beasts to sleep, but some could resist. Ain lost a few Tama in this hunt and needed a rank magic stones to resurrect them to complete his team. Continuing the hunt, he commanded the Hook flock to keep searching. But as it grew dark and their vision impaired, it became difficult to continue. Although he wanted to keep hunting, it was time for Ain to return to the city. A month later, Ain would leave the city every 6 days to hunt demonic beasts, and his current level had reached 12. As time passed, Ain became increasingly eager to hunt more, although he wanted to upgrade his equipment. However, he decided to save his money for a complete and satisfying set. Upon returning home, the butler summoned Ain to appear before the Lord. The Lord commended Ain for excellently completing his assigned duties but was curious about what Ain did on his days off. Since there was no point in lying, Ain admitted he went hunting demonic beasts, explaining it was a way to live like his father, the hunter Roden. Even while serving in the Lord's household, this revelation surprised the Lord, who felt he had made the right choice in selecting Ain, acknowledging his bravery. The Lord then inquired about the corpses of the beasts, advising Ain against selling them outside as it could tarnish the family's reputation. Instead, the Lord offered to buy them directly, paying 1 silver coin for each. 6 days later, Ain went hunting again, aiming to start his day with 100 goblins. While finishing breakfast, Hook flew back in a panicked state, signaling Ain to follow. Confused since he had only instructed Hook to scout within a 3 kilometers radius, Aang followed and discovered a group of adventurers surrounded by goblins. Recognizing them from the guild, Aang quickly threw iron balls at the goblins, which were insufficient to kill them. Not wanting to reveal his identity as a summoner, he fought the goblins with a knife. Soon after, he managed to rescue the severely injured Levon, thankfully carrying emergency healing herbs. Upon waking, Levon immediately recognized Aang and expressed his group's gratitude, offering to repay him. Aang seized the opportunity to ask for all the rank magic stones they had. After Levon's group left, Aang called Hook not to scold but to praise it for its independent thinking. A few days after parting with Levon's group, Aang received a total of 100 rank magic stones from them, which greatly aided his progress. In late December, the leader of the Knight's Order occasionally visited the Lord's house. The Knight's duty was to protect the Lord, apprehend thieves, and eliminate demonic beasts. During a meal, Cecil excitedly offered him rabbit meat that Aang had caught, surprising him. The Knight informed Aang that Karina village had met its hunting quota for the year. This news saddened the Lord's son, who lamented why they couldn't enjoy the meat despite their hunting efforts. Aang found it odd that all hunted meat was transported to the capital, leaving the Lord's children with less meat than the children in Karina village. At that moment, Thomas, the Lord's son, requested Aang to hunt a white deer for him next time. Aang immediately agreed, knowing the white deer was a Siank beast, similar to the giant wild boar he had seen his father hunt. One before and felt it was time to challenge higher-level beasts. The next day, Aang went into the forest to hunt the white deer. He set traps and lured it away before he could capture it, spending the whole day to catch just one. The experience points he earned were less than from hunting goblins, which somewhat disheartened him. However, he was satisfied with the accomplishment and carried the deer back to the Lord's house, surprising everyone. Aang's ability to hunt a white deer at the age of 8 left even the Lord astounded, prompting him to order the butler to thoroughly check Aang's background. Thanks to his achievement in hunting the white deer, Aang received a new assignment in the Lord's household. He was now allowed to freely hunt outside, and the Lord doubled his salary as a servant, increasing it from 50 to 100 silver coins. In March, Aang went out with Miss Cecil as her elder brother, Mi, was returning to the family estate from the capital. Students from the capital were transported by airships, and Aang was impressed by its grandeur. As soon as Mi stepped off, Cecil rushed to embrace him. Compared to his sister, Aang thought Mi seemed much more mature. To celebrate Mihai's return, Cecil ordered Aang to hunt a lot of demonic beasts, an easy task for him. He returned with a heap of meat. Entering the garden, Aang saw Mi practicing swordsmanship with the head knight. Mihai's swordplay was smooth, despite being only 13. Upon seeing Aang return, Mi challenged him to a friendly duel. During the duel, Aang gave his best, but Mi was significantly stronger. After the duel, Mi laughed and revealed that he would be participating in a dungeon exploration as a school test this summer, which sounded thrilling to Aang. He longed to join but feared he might be stuck serving the Lord's family forever. Realizing he needed to find a way to advance and leave, in early April, Lord Connell visited Lord Grabble with whom he had a long-standing rivalry. Aang learned that it was Lord Connell who had influenced the king to increase the annual hunting quota. The territories of the Grabble and Connell families were situated along the slopes of the White Dragon Mountain, with the large Mithro mines mostly on Connell's side while the White Dragon resided on Grabble. For over 100 years, the two families had been in conflict over mining rights. Lord Connell came to boast about his daughter, who had no talents, shockingly comparing her to the talented children of Lord Grabble, which angered him. Noble daughters with talents still had to fulfill noble duties. By autumn, Aang turned 9 and had been working for the Grabble family for a year. After saving up, he bought himself a suitable set of equipment. Every time he checked his stats and saw them improve, he felt exhilarated. His successful hunts had led to the near extinction of goblins, having hunted over 10,000. Today, Aang went into the forest to hunt higher-level demonic beasts. Hook soon located a beast, and Aang summoned Tama to attack. However, its shell was too hard for it to penetrate, forcing Aang to change tactics. He summoned the Jihad to sprinkle its sleep-inducing powder, planning to kill the beast before it woke up. Aang dashed forward and leapt onto the monster, furiously stabbing with his sword. The creature's shell was so tough that he scraped his hands raw before he could finally defeat it. However, extracting the magic stone posed another challenge due to the beast's armored body. Frustrated with the difficult hunt, Aang decided to switch his target to an easier prey, setting his sights on a sleeping orc. He summoned his Tama pack for a surprise attack. The orc, startled awake, quickly counterattacked, taking down 3 of Ain's Tama in a short time. But that was no issue for Ain, who could summon many more. He rallied his forces for a full-on assault, and finally, he triumphed over the troublesome beast. This day marked a significant turning point in Ain's life, as he managed to slay a level C monster without relying on traps. Reflecting on his previous defeat to Mihai, Ain realized he was still too weak and should not be overconfident. Determined to rise up in this hellishly difficult game world, he reminded himself to strive harder. After a brief rest, Ain continued his hunt, focusing on orcs. His haul for the day included a giant ant and 15 orcs, earning him a total of 25,000 experience points. Excitedly, he rushed home, recalling that a full day of hunting goblins had previously yielded only a similar amount of experience. Now, if he could hunt around 40 orcs a day, he would gain a substantial amount of experience. On the 1st of November, Ain had the opportunity to attend school with Miss Cecil as a reward for serving her family for a year. Sitting in front of the teacher, he eagerly inquired about how to use magic. The key to wielding magic was to have the talent of a wizard. Without it, magic remained inaccessible. Cecil demonstrated her ability by making a verifying orb glow with her touch, proving her wizardry talent. When it was Ain's turn, the orb remained dark, indicating his inability to use magic. Not only was he inferior in swordsmanship, but he also couldn't use magic, and his summoning skills were mediocre. This realization dampened his enthusiasm for the entire lesson. A year had passed since Ain's hunting was recognized, bringing him closer to the city's residents. Suddenly, he noticed a commotion among the people. Levon's group rushed past him, prompting Ain to immediately follow and inquire about what had happened. The Madaga monster had emerged at the southern gate of the city, incredibly powerful, and only the captain and his knights could combat it. Levon's group was hastily heading to the location to help evacuate the citizens. As a hunter for the Lord's house, Ain decided to assist regardless of the absence of orders. He quickly headed towards the south gate where chaos reigned. Soldiers were urging people to enter the city and shut the gates, while a merchant's carriage was blocked by the beast. Facing the enormous monster towering at least 5 meters tall, Ain felt a wave of fear inside the carriage. The merchant's family was trapped, and Ain couldn't leave them behind. Dodging through the crowd, he drew a steel ball, aimed precisely, and hurled it at the monster's face to draw its attention. Then he ran in another direction, provoking the beast to chase him. The monster, enraged by the injury, abandoned the carriage to pursue Ain. Ain's heart raced as he fled, but the monster's speed exceeded his expectations. It was about to catch him when unexpectedly it stopped. Ain realized the creature was toying with him, which infuriated him. He was determined to make the beast regret not seizing the chance to kill him. Opening his summoner menu, Ain didn't summon combat beasts but instead used all his monsters to boost his stats. Then he turned tail and ran. He ran towards the forest outside the city, and when he felt safe enough, he started summoning 3 Agahi, intending to put the monster to sleep. But as soon as he summoned them, the beast killed them. Ain's face went pale as he continued summoning other creatures, but nothing worked. Neither the sleep tactic nor the diversion worked on this monster. Ain was cornered and had to change his strategy. He planned to level up and return to face the beast later. However, the Medalu was relentless in its pursuit, determined to chase down Ain. Ain kept running with the monster hot on his heels. 3 days later, he staggered back into the city, utterly exhausted and collapsing at the city gates where the soldiers had to bring a doctor to attend to him. After receiving treatment, Ain slept for 2 days straight, waking up to find himself safely in his room. He sighed in relief, grateful to be back. Once fully recovered, Ain presented himself before the Lord to face any consequences. Surprisingly, the Lord did not reprimand him. Instead, he commended Ain for his bravery in protecting the city's people. Ain's reward for his actions was 10 coins, plus an additional 10 from the grateful merchant, totaling 20 coins. With this substantial reward, Ain immediately bought himself a new sword, sharper than any blade he had received back in his hometown. It easily slew the giant ants that previously required much effort. Since the harrowing chase by the rank B monster, Ain's hook had memorized its form, soaring in the sky and ready to report its proximity. This rank B monster was in a league of its own compared to the beasts Ain had encountered before, but he was determined to add it to his collection. Soon, the next time he returned, Ain had the chance to spar with him again. Since their last defeat, Ain had leveled up significantly. However, Mi had also progressed. Ain approached the match with extreme caution. He launched a series of attacks, all blocked by Mi, who then counterattacked, leading to Ain's overwhelming defeat once more. Aang couldn't accept this. He had grown much stronger than last year yet still lost so one-sidedly. After the battle, the Lord's family went out to eat. Hearing of Aang's encounter with the rank B beast, me was shocked. Even as a student of the academy, the mention of facing a rank B monster made me hesitate. He was not confident in confronting it himself. At that moment, a soldier rushed in to inform the Lord that the white dragon had started moving. Adventurers had spotted it leaving the territory of Count Cable. The Lord, concerned, discussed with his knight to launch an investigation to pinpoint the exact location where the white dragon would land. The knight felt the task was challenging due to the many dangerous monsters around the mountain. Investigating the entire area could take months. This whole story greatly excited Aang, who anticipated a major expedition by the Lord's family. By mid-July, Aang continued his diligent hunting, and it took him over 2 years to level up his summoner class. He had progressed from summoning level E creatures to level D before welcoming new members. Aang tested the new skills of his older summons. Surprisingly, he could share his vision with Hook, his bird. This skill was not limited to sight but also extended to hearing, giving him the sensation of soaring in the sky. Combined with the Hawkeye skill, Aang's vision could extend hundreds of kilometers.